Welcome to Shom Achshava Nadav, your sponsor, Lui Nishmas Am B'Yakashom Le'Abbas Yitzchok. We're holding in Avoda Zara Daf Lamed Aleph. The Gemara in the end of the Amud Beis says that the reason why Goyim, when they drink Mayim Megulim, they drink liquids which are revealed, they don't get hurt, even though there is a venom of a snake in it, is because they eat shkotzim veremosim chavil gufayu. Because they eat all these worms, it makes their body immune to the venom of a snake. Am Yisroel has a more sensitive, more delicate guf, and therefore by them, Mayim Megulim is more of an issue than by Goyim. The Chasav Sofer in Shuvah, it's brought down over here in the Chidushim as well, he says, I was always a question. How in halacha we rely on Goyish doctors to determine things that have to do with halacha? He speaks here specifically regarding Hilchos Nido. When does a woman have a period? We rely on the fact that Goyish doctors tell us what is the nature of woman. Says the Chasav Sofer, how can you rely on Goyish doctors when they're basing themselves on bodies of Goyim? But the bodies of Goyim are different than the bodies of Yisroel, as we see over here in our Gemara. So the Chasav Sofer says, I don't understand how we can rely on Goyish doctors for the body of Yisroel. That's a question of the Chasav Sofer, and he stays with the question. Now the answer, and I saw that in Chidusha Meiri, he says a similar mahalach. He brings the Tosfos in Gittin Daf Ayin that says clearly that the reason why we're allowed to give a refuah to a goy, even though we learned in our Gemara that a Jew should not give a refuah to a goy, we do it in order to learn from it how to do refuah for Yisroel. So clearly Tosfos says, not like a Chasav Sofer, Tosfos says that we do rely on the Goyish doctors and Goyish medicine and Goyish bodies, the autonomy of Goyish bodies, in order to determine what to do by Am Yisroel. So how do we understand this? So the answer is the Chura, that when the Gemara is telling us that the body of Goyim is different, chavil gufayu, and the venom of a snake does not affect them, that's not talking about their physical body. It's talking of the more of the spiritual concept of the body. And this is brought down in the Ben Ish Chai. Ben Ish Chai, in his Madur base, in Hagdama to Parshas Pinchos, he goes on there to say, he speaks about the difference between the Jewish bodies and the Goyish bodies, and he says the idea that the Gemara said earlier that by Goyim there's Zoyhamo. And he says, very similar to the Zoyhamo that was mentioned in the Gemara earlier, we have the Gemara by us that says that because they eat shkotzim or remosim chabil gufayu. And what the Ish Chai is telling us is that the shkotzim or remosim that harm the body of a goy is not a physical harm. It's not a change in their physical autonomy. But we're talking about a more spiritual aspect. Something that has to do like Zohamo, the Paschal in the time of Har Sinai. We're not talking about a physical thing, we're talking about a spiritual thing. And this gives us a new understanding, and something which makes a lot of sense, in the venom of the Nachash, in the eris of the Nachash. The Nachash got a klala. And one of the klalas that we have is that the Nachash and the Adam are opposite of each other. The Adam kills the Nachash, and the Nachash will put venom into the Adam. We know that the Nachash Kadmoini, it's called in Chazal Nachash Kadmoini, which means the Nachash before the Chet, he represents the Sitra Achra. He represents the Yitzhara. He represents all the evil in the world. Which evil? Which bad? Talking about the spiritual evil, not the physical evil. So it comes out now, when the Nachash became the Nachash we have today, and there is a venom of a Nachash, after that this venom, it affects a human being, but not so much because of his physical being, but more because of the spiritual being. The koyach of the Nachash stems from the Nachash Kadmoini. And the same way the Nachash Kadmoini was the Sitra Achra Yitzhara, also the current Nachash, which has a venom, which obviously affects the physical body, but the koyach that he has to overcome a human being comes from more of a spiritual koyach. And that's what was left from the Nachash after the Chet. And Imele, when we're talking about the people, the Goyim, that the Nachash does not affect them so much, is because spiritually they're in a lower level. as the Ben Ish Chai is telling us, similar to Zoyhama that they had, that was now removed in Har Sinai, they have the Shkatzur and Mosim to give them more of the tumor and V'nitamtembom, which is a spiritual concept, and that is what affects that the Nochash cannot affect them. But we talk about the Tanami, the body itself, then in Chanami there will be no difference between a Goy and a Yisroel. Anyone who wants to join the Shomachshava email list to WhatsApp group is email shomachshava@gmail.com.